Well, it's only been, plus or minus half a day, and I'm still higher than Cheech and Chong's hot air balloon.
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back into Locked On Bama. Luke Robinson, that's me. Jimmy Stein, that's him. This episode is brought to you by Gametime. I'll be telling you about Gametime in just a little bit. But, Jimmy, I'm still just on this euphoric high. I've actually already driven this 132. I got up at 4:20 this morning. Ha-ha, sort of goes along with my opening joke. Then I take my kids to Nashville, drop them off with their mama, and then I came back. I'm already back in Birmingham, and I've done, honestly, I put it on my car where I could listen to like some of the replay of the game. And it's still really unbelievable. I tweeted this out that I've rewatched the final, 2-3 minutes of this game a bunch already. And I'm still nervous every time. That's just, it's a great feeling to come on top of that. But like every time I'm just, when that snap goes past Milroe, I'm thinking, oh, God, we screwed it up again.
It's part of the fun of football, I think, Luke, is winning in exciting fashion. You can't win any more exciting than that. And if you think about it, this season, Alabama's big wins have been sort of comfortable, right? I mean, it didn't take a last-minute field goal to beat LSU or a last-minute defensive stand to beat Tennessee. I think the A&M game was pretty exciting in terms of what we did over there. But overall, there hasn't been a lot of endings that were super dramatic. And Alabama made up for it all at once. I mean, for not having exciting endings of games previously, Alabama made up for it all at once because, that play will live on forever. We'll talk about it forever. It'll be a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. It'll be the 10-year anniversary of the kick six. It'll be the 10-year anniversary of yesterday was 10-year anniversary of kick six. 10 years from now, it'll be the 10-year anniversary of whatever we decide ultimately to call that play.
What do you call it? I mean, I've seen 4th and 1 WON, and I even used that. And then I was like, well, but it was maybe if you make it 4th and 31, which is what it actually was, and you spell 1 WON. I don't know that we really need that. We're not. We're not great at naming things. We have 2nd and 26. That'll always be. I think we just go with 4th and 31.
I think 4th and 31.
Yeah.
4th and 31, however you want to spell the one. I think 4th and 31 because, I would say it's our last big play. It can't be true because it was 6 years ago, but I think 2nd and 26 and 4th and 31 will live forever in terms of we will know what we're talking about. When we say 4th and 31, it won't be like, which game is that? I think so. And so many heroes in a game decided by one play, Luke. It's not one play, right? It's decided by the one play, Milroe to Bond, but other huge plays, the recovery of the muff punt, the 4th down play that Roy Dell when we changed the play at the line of scrimmage and tossed it outside.
And that was cut off, by the way. He had to cut inside for that. That was a great play by him.
Yeah, and great block by Robbie Ouse, who saved the season with a great block. 3rd and 20, and Milroe ran for 19 and a half yards, to set even that up. All sorts of big plays, the big plays to Burton early, to Jermaine Burton, several big-time runs by Milroe, just a lot of spectacular big plays. And, whenever you're talking about a game decided by one play, it's funny because it's not one play. It's several plays that allowed you to be in a position for it all to come down to one play. And Alabama made it. Milroe made it. Isaiah Bond. How cool of a cucumber do you have to be, Luke, to just catch a ball with the entire season riding on it? And you got a defender not just in your face. One of the things, there's so many things that get me upset about this game. And one of them is the Bond push-off. Hey, look, I'm admitting there was a bit of a push-off. I'm admitting there was. He pushed off.
Wait a minute. I don't mean to cut you off. That's such a non-starter stupid thing.
But
frankly, I've seen most Auburn people be like, in fact, DJ James was also pulling his jersey, so it kind of worked out.
That's exactly what I was leading up to. DJ James pulled his jersey before Bond pushed off. So which one are we upset about? So I think what DJ James did was just as interfere-y, is that a word? As what Bond did. To me, it's just not a thing. It's not a story. It's DJ James pulled his jersey. Bond pushed him off of him. And it's just something that should be a no call every time, particularly in that game situation. But gosh, so much to talk about that game. I love how you put how long can we celebrate as one of the topics today, because I want to celebrate this for a month, but we can't. We can't. I mean, I'm staying, where I live right now is less than a mile from the football building. The football staff is in there. They're working on Georgia right now. They're working on Georgia as we speak. The parking lot is full of coaches. They're working on Georgia. So, us fans, I think we need to turn the page, because incredible challenge coming up this Saturday. One of the biggest games of the Nick Saban era, win or lose.
So true. I'm going to celebrate a little longer. I'm going to let this linger a little bit. And I want to go back to just the improbability of it all. I really think that converting 4th and 31 in Auburn, when again it's down, this is all you can do is throw it up and pray to God. But that's not really what we did. I mean, and I love that we actually have a name for this play called Gravedigger. And we can say we have a name for it, but it's at the same time, a lot of things have to go right. But so much had to go right in the sense that Auburn had to only rush 2 people. And for some reason, they had a spy, which I find ironic that our receiver named Bond was able to catch it, and they had a spy. I mean, a needless spy.
How about that Saban was asked, we did the press conference show last night, the live show, and Saban was asked during the press conference, do you have a name for that play? And Nick said, yeah, we do, but I'm not going to tell you. And then outside, the media asked Isaiah Bond, do you have a name for that play? And Bond said, yeah, it's Gravedigger.
Yeah, that was funny. And you know what, Isaiah, you've earned the right to do that, bro.
Well, it's not like we're going to run that exact same play again in that same situation. It's the beauty about football. Now we got to change it. Well, I hope we don't have to either, but now we got to change it a little bit.
Well, exactly. But the throw, and again, people think that every night when you say something remotely negative about Milroe's play, sometimes it's like you're killing him. Let me just say this. Milroe is what he is, but he keeps being better. Now, the snap wasn't necessarily his fault. It wasn't his fault at all. Actually, it was a terrible snap. The next play where he crosses the line of scrimmage and then goes back, that was his fault.
That was his fault.
But the pass that he made, how many quarterbacks in the country can make that pass? Not many. I mean, he had to throw it up. I mean, it was 4th and 31, but he threw it about 3 or 4 yards behind the line of scrimmage and had to go basically 10 yards, or let's call it 9 yards. I mean, he threw about a 40 some odd yard pass on a dime. And just hit him with the only place that he could put it where Isaiah Bond could catch it and come down in bounds. And it's amazing. His ceiling keeps growing. His floor keeps staying the same. The problem is there's still a floor. There's definitely still that floor there. And he's going to do some things like cross the line of scrimmage twice in a game. By the way, Jimmy, I've only seen that happen like in a game one time where like a quarterback passes the line of scrimmage accidentally. And it's usually just over. It happened 3 times in this Iron Bowl, and all of them were egregious. I mean, like 3 yards down the field, banana stuff.
Yeah, and I don't recall him doing that before. I think there's a couple of things that sound conflicting maybe to some, but I think Milroe, as he's gained experience, has cut down on the errors. There are still some errors, and I think to some extent there will always be with him. I think this is sort of who he is and what kind of player he is. But the thing is, you live with the errors because there's so many big plays. The errors would be worse if there were no big plays. But he makes about, 4 or 5 great plays to every one bad play. And you just learn to live with that ratio. If you're like, no, I want a quarterback that makes no errors. Okay, well, then we'll get Greg McElroy back. And that works when your defense is what the defense was then. I'm just saying, if you want the Milroe that makes no mistakes, you're probably getting the Milroe who makes no plays. And that's just who he is. He's a playmaker. There's some upside and some downside. That's who he is. And one other thing that we do as fans, because Milroe does make errors, we overdo it a little bit in terms of we pretend like he's making more errors than all other quarterbacks. That's absolutely insane and wrong. We just harp on it because when he made a lot of errors as a brand new, inexperienced quarterback, we got rabbit ears over it. Is that what they call it? Rabbit ears, where it's like, all he's got to do is make a mistake and it's, there goes Milroe again. And we don't do things like, there goes Peyton Thorne again, when Peyton probably made far more worse plays than Milroe without the big plays to make up for it.
And, Jimmy, you said it well, and we're going to talk about game time here in a second. Then when we come back, we're going to just keep talking about reviewing this game for right now. The ratio, it was at the beginning of the season probably 3 good plays to 1 bad play.
Yeah.
I would say the ratio is now like 6 good plays to 1 bad play, and it's trending up. So
correct.
That's where, Milroe has gotten so much better. The bad plays are still going to be there, but he's making a lot more good plays. I want to tell everybody about Game Time right now. And look, if you're looking for tickets to the SEC championship game, there is no better place to go than Game Time, because you shouldn't have to worry about when you're buying your tickets to the next event or where you're going to get them. You just shouldn't worry about it. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all sports, music, comedy, theater events near you, with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and the best price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. They have last-minute tickets, flash deals, zone deals, easy to find and buy tickets for every kind of event. Just absolutely awesome stuff. I've used Game Time myself personally several times already, even for the World Series for my son, who's out in Arizona. He loved the tickets. Everything went fantastic. I used it for the Tennessee game this year. I used it for a Miami Dolphins versus Carolina Panthers game this year. So, you can use it for anything. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Jimmy, a couple other things. One other thing I noticed, I don't know if this has ever happened in college football history. First of all, I did see a tweet where somebody was like, we can't find a record of anybody converting a 4th and goal from the 31 or 30 yards out in the history of college football. That blows my mind. I mean, you would think it's somewhere somebody's done it,
right,
but it might be the first time it's ever happened.
No one has found it. I know that in the last 90 times, there has been a 3rd and 31 or 4th and 31 or longer. The last 90 times in any college football game, 0 for 90.
True, but it wasn't.
It's now 1 for 91.
It wasn't 4th and goal.
No. Some of that was just 3rd and 31 or 4th and 31 or longer, and that wasn't even 4th and goal. I think it's quite possible, Luke, that that was the first time that's ever happened in college football history. I'm not stating emphatically that it is, but there is a really good chance. No one seems to be able to find an example of a similar play in the past. And good for Alabama, and shame on Auburn. And I can tell you this: Hugh Freeze probably didn't sleep, and it started with rushing 2 and using a spy. If Auburn is in that end of game situation again, or Hugh is in that end of game situation again, he's going to blitz or rush 4. And it reminded me, what it reminds me of is the Leitner, the Duke, Kentucky.
Yeah.
Grant Hill, pass to Leitner, and Leitner makes the shot. And I actually had a discussion with John Pelfrey when he was an assistant at Alabama. John Pelfrey, we had him as an assistant one year, and I got to spend a few minutes with John, and I asked him about that because he was on the floor for Kentucky, and he it certainly came up, about guarding the inbounder, and Kentucky did not guard Grant Hill, sort of let him have a free pass in. And that's kind of what the Milroe thing, right? I mean, they didn't guard Milroe. They let him throw when and where he wanted it to, and put him under no duress. I think that is what Auburn is going to lose sleep over, that aspect of it. It's not, we didn't coach DJ James up enough. I think it's, we should have called for some level of pressure there.
The other thing that I've never seen before, somebody can tell me if it's happened before. Terrion Arnold had an interception to end the half and to end the game. I don't know that I've ever heard of one single player ever doing that.
Well, the INT is not going to count at the end of the game.
No, the INT will count. The touchdown won't.
Oh, that's right. Because they ruled him out of bounds, right?
Uh-huh.
I'm still confused. See, initially I thought they didn't count it because the clock may have been 0 when Thorne took the snap. So I was like, oh, so it's just a non-play. I later learned that no, that's not what they called. They called Terron out of bounds, and he was. I've seen the video photo. He was. So yeah. So you are correct. I stand corrected. 2 interceptions, one that ended the half, one that ended the game, and then a congratulations from Miss Terry after the game that I saw on video.
Yeah, I guess he actually intercepted the ball both times with zeros on the clock.
That's pretty amazing. What a good player. And but we will at some point get into what went wrong in this game, and there was a lot, and it's mostly on that side of the ball. I didn't think Kool-Aid played particularly well. I thought the defensive
Jimmy,
line
I don't want to stop you
terrible.
right there. Let's start there because okay, we can say, okay, he didn't give up a lot in the passing game or whatever, I guess, but they weren't even a passing threat. Some of his run defense was just, wow. I mean, he was jogging at times, it felt like. And again, I love me some Kool-Aid McKinstry, but the effort on D from some guys that we needed stout effort from was not there. Now, I thought Caleb Downs, he had a couple of mistakes, but I think Caleb Downs makes his mistakes out of effort. He also had a great tackle for a loss. I thought the defensive line and the pass rush was until the very end. I mean, that last sack by Braswell was beautiful. I mean, man, that ball popped out of there like nobody's business. And frankly, Jimmy, I think that the lineman was down in the end zone. I thought they should have called a safety.
He may have been down in the end zone. I know for sure what happened what for sure what happened is when Jamarian Latham was running through the backfield, they literally tackled him. That's when the officials just stopped officialing because, I mean, that was like, I'm really sure you can't tackle defensive players. I'm pretty sure you can't. You're not allowed to tackle defensive players.
Even if they're going for a loose ball, I'm just curious.
I don't think you can tackle them. I mean, that's a hold.
Okay.
I thought that was like outrageously bad. You just can't wrap your arms around a defensive player and bring them to the ground when they're playing defense.
And you and I talked about it. You and I talked about it in our text thread that when we found out it was that Jason Archery crew, because that's the same crew that did the Tennessee game last year, and they were atrocious last year.
We talked about it before the game. This isn't anything we were doing in game. Like, did you notice these officials aren't? We talked about before the game. We're like, here we go. Now, and we were right. Hey, and they missed calls against. I mean, the face mask in particular was egregious. That was, and how do you miss that when the guy that has the ball was face masked? What else are they watching? It was so bad.
And again, we're not saying that, and I don't even like saying it was bad on both sides, so it cancels out. It really doesn't, because they were worse against Alabama later on in the game. They were worse. The face mask was awful. They got to call that. Now, it would have been an offsetting penalty because the penalty was actually on Auburn for blocking the back, which is probably why they grabbed the face mask. But the hold on the Kendrick Law thing was so stupid. I mean, that's just so tic-tac that
I thought it was
you can call that every single play.
If you're going to call that there, then you're going to call holding a lot.
And then
I think that's a fact. I'm not saying it wasn't holding. I'm just saying if you're going to call that, then you're going to call a lot of holding penalties throughout the game, which they clearly did not.
And then the Jermaine Burton review thing, I'm going to say it for the 1,000th time. Quit reviews. Quit them. They ruin the momentum of the game. They take up a lot of time, and you don't get them right afterwards anyway. So just quit reviewing. And then,
how do you not get that right? How do you not get that right? That wasn't even that close. You know what I mean? There's a still photo that, when it's like, it was an obviously bad call. Which, by the way, the official that had a good angle on the play, he said Burton was in.
That's exactly right.
And then he got overruled by an official that had a bad angle, and then they wouldn't overturn the call.
Stupid. And then the basic beatdown of James Burnett by an Auburn player was just That was awful. I mean, that was
player safety.
people.
And
I've
do
heard so many people
how do they
say,
ignore player safety calls?
well, and that's what somebody said today on a national show. Like, look, bad officiating when it cancels out or whatever, fine. But when you have a face mask like you had earlier in the game, and then you have a punter getting pummeled by a man twice his size, that's
a blindside block, and a blindside block that began the whole thing. I mean, it was not just over the top personal foul; it was a blindside block that got burned up on the ground.
And that's player safety issues. And then you know what happened to me at the end of the game, in terms of player safety, when the kickoff was returned at the end of the game. Which, by the way, why the heck did Auburn bring the ball out of the end zone? I'll never know, but they did. And there was like a big fight, and people were grabbing each other's face. There's Alabama and Auburn players.
How there was no flag?
How was there no flag?
I mean, call offsetting, I guess, but I thought Auburn had instigated it to me, and I'm a biased homer, so Auburn fans shouldn't be listening anyway. But I mean, I thought Auburn instigated it, but even if they didn't, it should have. There was way too much contact there for there not to be some sort of offsetting fouls.
Way too cheapy.
And that's the official's fault too when that happens.
Definitely.
Because they're not stopping it from happening. They're just, quote, letting it go. And you can't let stuff go or the inmates start running the asylum.
There's letting go what you were talking about earlier, Isaiah Bond and DJ James sort of jockeying for position. There's letting that go, which I think is fine. I mean, because we've all learned to deal with that receiver DB exchange. You can't let things go when people throw punches. And by the way, one of the officials got barreled over. I
watch a ton of NFL football, Luke, and I know you do too. I watch a ton, so I kind of in general have an idea how the best officials in the world officiate because I'm watching Falcons and Saints right now. But what I'm saying is DJ James and Bond, if that happened in an NFL game, there would be there would not be a flag thrown, not on the tugging of the jersey, not on Bond's push off. That would be no flag. The burn up thing, there would be a fine. That player would be fined. That not just a flag. That player would be fined by the NFL, and SEC officials saw it happen. Happened right in front of them. Did not throw a flag.
When we come back, Jimmy, we are going to talk a little bit more about how long we should celebrate. We're going to keep talking about the Iron Bowl, though. There's some other things to get into, just some little nuanced stuff. Because I'm going to milk this mother. Y'all can do what you want to. Y'all can talk about Georgia if you want to. I'm talking about this Auburn win because I thoroughly enjoyed it. But right now, I want to tell everybody about FanDuel. Look, right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet when you go to FanDuel. As the weather's getting colder, the NFL offers just stay hot right here on FanDuel. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action than right this very minute. The FanDuel app is so easy to use. Jimmy can use it. I can use it. You can use it. My mama can use it. Anybody can use it. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads and player props and over-unders and much, much more. Visit FanDuel/LockedOn, FanDuel.com/LockedOn, FanDuel.com/LockedOn, and kick off the NFL season that is in full swing. And look, you can also do college basketball. You can do NBA. You can do college football, all that stuff. But FanDuel is an official partner of the NFL. That's FanDuel.com/LockedOn. So, Jimmy, Jase McClellan walking out in crutching out in a walking boot, I should say. That didn't look too good. I would suspect he's probably done for the Georgia game and maybe done beyond that. I don't know.
The walking boot's not a problem, but the crutches are.
Exactly.
I mean, we have players in walking boots all the time that it's precautionary, but I just know myself. This is the way I'm looking at it, folks, and y'all can look at it however you want. But I'm trying to recall the last time I saw an Alabama player on crutches 7 days before a game, and he played, and I can't think of one.
Yeah, that's tough.
So I'm assuming no Jace. I don't know. I'm assuming that's going to be the Roy Dell and Jam show.
Okay, and you know what? I love Jase McClellan, but I can live with this injury. If the injury were to say Jermaine Burton or to say Amari Knobloch or something like that, I'd be a lot more worried. Our running back room is pretty good. I think we have one of our mutual buddies actually texted in our chain hey, this is a great time for Justice Haynes to maybe put a hobnail boot in Georgia's face, just like dear old dad did against Tennessee when he played for Georgia.
That's hilarious.
So other injury news out there? Anybody else banged up?
I would just say that just general performance on defense, I'm a little personally worried about Deontay Lawson and Jalen Key's health. I thought both of them played their worst game of the year. They obviously had missed time, and last night was their first game back, and I didn't think either one of them played well. We need them healthier than they were because we need them to play, and we need them to be healthy. That's what I would say about Jase. I mean, I'm going to miss – I think when he's 100% healthy, Jase is our best back. When he's not 100% healthy, I would rather see the other guys. And we're not going to get 100% healthy Jase here. So I'd just soon go with our healthiest back, whoever that happens to be. And I think he's going to be a good player, whether it's Roydell Jam or Justice, who's going to be really fresh, for this game. So, but in terms of general overall health, I think overall it's probably pretty good. But at the same time, you can't get into game 13 and not be banged up. But we're not looking for sympathy. My understanding is that Brock Bowers and Lad McConkey, two of their critical players, are both injured themselves. And I believe they're going to play next week. But I don't think we're playing against 100% Brock or 100% Lad. And I'll take it because those dudes are dudes for real.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about Georgia a lot this week, guys. And I'm going to tell you, I mean, right now, my gut feeling is Georgia wins that game. I might change my mind as the week goes on. I'm just telling you what I feel. But that being said, I'm not going to let it damper what I'm believing right now. I will report some good news. I just was able to pull up on your site, Jimmy, on 3. Andrew Bones said he has spoken to Ryan Williams today, who actually was there in Auburn for the Iron Bowl. He said he enjoyed the visit and they are trying to flip him, but he is 100% locked in with Alabama. He spoke to Isaiah Bond after the game, also talked with Holloman Wiggins and Tommy Rees and T-Rob. He's excited about the upcoming game with Georgia and currently plans on attending the SEC championship game. So, I mean, I think that's very, very good news.
Good report, Bone.
Yeah, way to go, Bone. One other thing I want to throw out there, and boy, I want to end on a more positive note, but I think people could make this positive. Look, I told you I'd listened in the car to a lot of replays on this. I mean, I really did. I just put it on my Bluetooth and listened to it. It was awesome. But, Eli Gold has been a staple at Alabama for a while, right? Mm-hmm. I thought his call of the game-winning touchdown catch was pretty uninspired. And I was disappointed in the sense that I couldn't help but think if Chris Stewart had made that call that it would still give you chills. And really, I just wonder if it's time to make that replacement. I'm not mad at Eli necessarily, nothing like that. I just feel like sometimes your homerism's got to show through. You can't, go all Stan White and, always blame something else, but you get upset about every little play. But when you throw a touchdown to beat your arch rival on 4th and 31 at their place in a raucous environment, and Alabama had a 0.1% chance of winning that ball game at that point in time, according to ESPN. You got to go a little nuts, man. And it was so calm and collected. And Tom Luganbill actually pointed that out when they replayed on the national show I was listening to, and he said, boy, you would think that was like a 2nd and 5 in the second quarter, the way Eli called that thing. And he was joking about it, but I mean, I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I thought.
Huh. I love Chris Stewart as a friend of mine. I think the world of Chris, and one day Chris will be the full-time voice of Alabama football. I believe that, and that'll be great. And
Jimmy Stein, the diplomat, everybody.
I don't disagree with anything Luke said, and I'm not going to be critical of Eli.
I also do not agree with him.
And it was his first road. It was his first road game, and because of his health.
So he had nerves. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying he might have been tired.
Okay. Well, so was I, but I jumped up when we talked. Listen, let me tell you something. I think I said this last night, but
he knows who he is. I hugged a grown man. He knows who he is. He's listening to the show.
Okay, so
thanks for being there for me. Thanks for being there for me, buddy.
My son's in college at Arizona State, Truett, and he has Asperger's, which is on the autism scale. A lot of people know, and so it's sort of like the social interaction sometimes it's just not his thing. Like he doesn't catch on to some things the way everybody else does. He's doing great in school, smart kid, does everything well, but it's like social cues sometimes don't. So he's not a big hugger. He's not a big, I'll tell him every time, love you, buddy. He says, I'll talk to you later, and I know he loves me. I'm just saying, my point is, when that play happened, and again, my son's at Arizona State, and he's an Eagles fan. He's not necessarily, he's for Alabama, but not worried about it like I am. When that play happened, he and I jumped up without any kind of cue and hugged each other like he had just gotten back from the war. And and so I was thinking, I can't.
So many ways he had.
I can't. That's true. I was like, I can't wait to hear the radio call of this. And so that's why it was so disappointing, because I was like, I really think I could have, I couldn't do Eli's job full time. I mean, he's better at this than most everybody. But for that play, I could have done better.
I was excited, but yeah, it's a tougher job than people know. I mean, I've done it professionally, but it's a tough job. I mean, and just anybody can say, oh, it's 3rd and 7 from the 24-yard line. I mean, but the job's so much more than that. And it's making the calls, and being a homer is fine on the Crimson Tide Sports Network. It might not be fine on CBS when you seem to perpetually root for the underdog, because, and this is the thing, Gary and Brad, this is what I believe. They're not anti-Alabama. I think they're probably pro-Alabama, because both of them made a ton of money doing this job, primarily because people watch Alabama football games when they're on TV. So they're not anti-Alabama. But I think what happens is when Alabama's playing, the announcers root for a close game, because that doesn't always happen. And I don't know if the Alabama people are aware of this, but when you have 5 or 6 million people watching a CBS broadcast, they're not all Alabama fans. They're not all Auburn fans. The majority of people that are watching a CBS broadcast are just football fans. They like football, not Alabama, not Auburn. They're watching football. So they're going to be rooting for 2 things: the underdog or a close game. And I think that Gary and Brad take that too far. I think they want the game to be close, so the casual fan, who makes up the majority of the watchers, don't turn the channel. They're like, God, when Alabama's up by 20, no one's going to watch our game. So I can get the subliminal or the hope that the game's close, because that's how they get the big audience. But it comes across sometimes to people who are emotionally invested in the outcome like, dude, it sounds like you're pulling for the other team. And this isn't the Auburn Sports Network. You're the CBS. So that's my take on it. But I do think it's real when people complain about sometimes that those 2 announcers. I feel like they take a little too far wanting the game to be tight.
All right,
Although
buddy.
I get why.
All right, we'll be back tomorrow with more. We'll probably start getting into Georgia a little bit, so y'all be ready for it. Until then, roll tide, everybody.
Roll tide.